So Jon Jones has made another appearance on a podcast, the Jeffrey Woo podcast. Never heard of the guy. Had a quick look. I think he's got over 4K subscribers on YouTube, so obviously a small channel. And he's linked to Ketone IQ, and I think Jones is sponsored by them, so there's some connection there. Anyway, I'm reading an article here on MMAfighting.com in reference to the interview that Jones did with this Jeffrey Woo podcast guy and Ketone IQ. And he's talking again about Tom Aspinall wanting to avoid fighting him and instead fancies the Alex Pereira matchup. Now, who would have thought that? So I'm going to go through some of the interview that's on this article. Go and check the article out if you want. I will put screenshots up there. I'm just going to dissect this a little bit deeper because it's incredibly interesting to me, his mindset in this. And I think it shows quite a lot of where he's at currently. So I'll cut through the first couple of paragraphs, and he says his last situation with Cyril Gane, he calls him Gain because he wants to be different. He gets poked in the eye. Normally you see fighters checking their eye or trying to get the doctor to look at it. Actually, initially the doctor's like, he seems fine, and Tom's like, no, I can't fight, I can't see. The guy wasn't trying to see. The guy didn't want to see. And then he goes on to say, another thing was the eye that he was covering appeared to be the eye that didn't get penetrated. Okay, first of all, he clearly got gouged. And I'm going to get people on here saying, oh, I can tell where you're from. Of course you support Tom Aspinall. No, I'm just saying what's fair, what's normal. It just seems a lot of fucktards on the internet and online don't know common sense. They think the deeper the eye gouge goes, the worse it automatically is. And if you listen to specialists and experts on this, they will tell you it actually, the deeper it goes is often better, if we can say that, or safer when it comes to eye pokes and the lasting injury as a result of the said eye poke. It's often the smaller graze or the flick they're the ones that get you worse than the balls deep back of the retina kind of job, right? Where they can literally touch your brain. They're actually the safest ones because it's more cleaner. So he's saying that Tom wants a way out. And again, a lot of fucktards are saying the same thing. I mean, who's to say what's a good or bad eye poke? And it's the same argument when people say that was an intentional eye poke or an unintentional eye poke. How the fuck do you determine what's intentional or unintentional? You don't have to be doing this to say it's intentional, right? You don't have to. Doing this could be intentional. Someone's coming in and you're like that. That's classed as intentional in my eyes. It could be intentional. There's lots of variables here. It's not a one size fits all. There's no black and white blueprint to this. So he said he wants a way out, which I call bullshit on. And he says it again, one eye, the finger goes all the way underneath the eyelid. The other eye was on top of the eyelid, and he ends up grabbing the eye where the finger was on top of the eyelid. That's my whole point. Just because it was deeper doesn't mean it was worse. You don't have to be a fucking brainiac and Einstein to understand this. This is just clinically evidenced online. It's very, very basic shit. If you just take a second to watch or read experts who talk about this, who are much more savvy and versed and well-versed on this topic than I am, and most of the idiots online, including me, because I'm just an idiot online as well. He said, I don't even think Tom really knew which eye was supposed to be more compromised. He just knew that he had been fouled, and it was his way out. Okay. And then he goes on to compliment Jon, and he says, I still think Tom is an amazing athlete. I think he's a great fighter. Recon is really important. Having information on what you're going up against is really important. I feel like time is on my side to figure out who the opponent is. Who this opponent is. If we still fight, it would be awesome. So we know Jones likes intel, right? He likes footage on his fighter. He likes to dissect them. He's very analytical minded, and that's okay. There is no slight from me. I think that's actually a smart way to fight somebody. I think I would be the same. I'd like to watch tape. And some guys don't give a shit. They just get in there, right? The thing is with this is, he says, I've got time on my side to figure out who this opponent is. Well, you haven't, Jon. You have very little time. You're, 38 now or something, I think? Maybe a year off, about 37, 38. You have anything but time. You've barely fought in the last 6 years. I mean, if you look over the last decade even, he's not been, I wouldn't say incredibly active. Certainly over the last 6 years, 7 years, he's not been very active because of misdemeanors outside in his personal life and whatever else, and saying he wanted to bulk up to fight, Francis Ngannou, which I think he was ducking. The guy just was eating far too much in a surplus. He looked fat. He's not a heavyweight. He's a blown-up heavyweight. He carries too much body fat. And yeah, if we still fight, it would be awesome. He says then, I don't feel like I need him. Now, this is really interesting. I don't feel like I need him, especially after his last performance. I think time will show the world who I am, what I've done, and just because someone's newer or maybe more exciting doesn't mean that they replace what is already here. The guy, as we know, is fucking narcissistic. He is an egotistical maniac. There's no doubt he is in some people's GOAT, greatest fighter of all time. He's not mine personally, but I mean, great fighter, absolutely phenomenal fighter. But again, he doesn't have time. And what has Aspinall's performance got to do with him fighting him again? Why? If Tom is a quitter and wants a way out, why don't you go and beat him up, Jon? Why don't you go and stop him in a round if he's that weak? But instead of saying, I don't feel like I need him, well, who do you need, Jon? Because if you want to be the heavyweight champion of the world, you want to be the 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, you have to fight the best. You have to fight the heavyweight champion. And at the moment, that's Tom Aspinall. Now, that could change when he fights Ciryl Gane in the rematch. I don't know who win. I would say Gane's probably going in to be a favourite in the rematch. But Jones can't say, you feel like I don't need him. You need everything Aspinall's got. You did the duck of the century not fighting Aspinall. There was literally no other excuse other than you ducked to fight Aspinall. Rather than just saying, listen, he's too fresh. He's too young. I don't want to risk it. He kind of did allude to that last year or a couple of years ago. But he hasn't got time to show the world who he is. We know who you are, Jon. You're a bad, bad man, as Dana White would say about Francis Ngannou, but he doesn't say it about Jones. Maybe Jones has got something on Dana White. I don't know. So he talks about Poeton ending in this article. He says he has that it factor. That's part of the reason I want to compete against Pereira. Oh, is it now? Okay. And then he goes to contradict himself, and the real honesty comes out right now. I feel as if the brand that he represents, the energy that he has behind him, will be remembered more than just 5 years from now. For example, Aspinall just had a close fight and people are already writing him off. His journey hasn't even started yet and he's already almost moved on. No, he hasn't. He's not moved on, I can assure you. I feel like Pereira fighting like that will just bring so much more to the table for me. The only way it would bring more to the table is because it's an easier fight for you, Jon. Let's just say it how it is. It's an easier fight for Jon Jones. And then he says, with Pereira, I'd just have to be smart. I'd have to be really smart. I'd have to use what's in front of me. The biggest difference between Pereira and Aspinall, and this is where he gets honest, is the level of footage that I have. Exactly. Pereira posts everything, every sparring session. Yeah, and Aspinall doesn't. And there's nothing wrong with that. So what you're basically saying is, you don't have the intel and the footage on Aspinall because he's barely gone past a round or two. Apart from Ciryl Gane was the longest we've seen him in the octagon for a few years. You don't have the footage on him, and you don't like not having footage on somebody. But don't try and spin it and say that Aspinall has nothing and can't bring anything to the table. It's about brand recognition. No, you just basically admitted it. You don't have the intel on him. You don't have the footage, and you like to know what you're going up against because you just said Pereira's got all that. He posts all his sparring. I've seen him have multiple 5-round fights. I've seen him go the distance. And he also says here, I have a whole kickboxing career to study from. Exactly. You know exactly who you're dealing with. Because still to this day, just because we've seen 4 minutes of Tom Aspinall recently against Ciryl Gane, we still don't know the difference in it. We still don't know what he's capable of in terms of his game plan, in terms of his skills. We've seen him starch people. And he goes on here finally to say, I feel like Pereira is really stuck in a certain way of fighting where he has tendencies in his combinations, tendencies in his counters and his defence. It would be my job to find the holes inside of those tendencies, which I feel like I could. Exactly. So you know Pereira's game inside out. You've got footage, and with Aspinall, you don't. You know Aspinall is much, much faster than you, much more powerful than you, one punch knockout power, and he moves around like a welterweight. And let's not forget, John, as well, you fought a corpse in Stipe Miocic at 42 years old. All due respect to Stipe, I like Stipe Miocic. I thought he was a fucking tremendous heavyweight champion. But the guy was fucking walking around like a zombie. He got absolutely flatlined against Francis Ngannou in 2021. He didn't fight for 3 years or whatever it was, 4 years. Comes back and just... he looked like a pensioner fighting Jones, and he still caught Jones. He still landed on Jon Jones. If you don't think that Aspinall would cause problems to Jones based off of his performance, Jones's performance against Miocic, you're out your mind. Look at the speed of Miocic. He had none. He was literally plodding, yet he caught Jones clean a few times. If you think that Tom Aspinall is going to be up against a cage and allowing Jones to do a spinning back kick in his ribs, he's going to have time to set it up, you're out your mind. You know what Aspinall would do if he was against the cage? He would zip out immediately. He would just reverse the position straight away and get Jones against the cage, or go off into the centre and start bouncing on his feet again. That's what he would do. And then he talks about, he glazes himself, saying that when everybody wrestles him, they say he's so strong, he's much more powerful. I'm sure that's the case. But he says, I also think my grappling power and wisdom would be a lot for him to handle. But I also feel like that would be the same scenario for Tom Aspinall. And this is interesting. I don't think the UK wrestling system is as good as people think it is. I don't think their jiu-jitsu programs are as good as people say it is. Who's saying it is? I've seen him beat this same drum a few times now, saying the UK wrestling's not good and the jiu-jitsu's not good. No shit. I'm from the UK. I've grown up there. I lived there for, 35, 36 years of my life. I don't live there anymore. But who the fuck is saying that it is superior to, Dagestan's wrestling system or even America? No one said it is. We arrived incredibly late on the scene when it came to wrestling and jiu-jitsu. No one's saying it's as good. Do we have black belts? Yeah. Are they extremely good? Yeah. Can more people now wrestle? Yes, we can. We are well versed in it now. We are, I would say, at a high standard. I'm not saying we're at the elite standard, and I'm a Brit. But no one's saying, other than him, that the UK is amazing at wrestling and jiu-jitsu. No one's claiming that. We're good, but we're not elite. We're not exceptional. I don't think anybody is saying otherwise. So he says, where Tom is a lot physically bigger, it would probably take me a little bit more effort. Yeah, you know it would. I think it would be the same story if I got Tom to the ground as if I got Pereira to the ground. To me, it's the same fight. Well, do it then. Do it. Do it. The same fight. They're both strong on their feet, hit very hard on their feet, and I think they both have holes in their grappling department. You haven't seen Aspinall grapple just because he went for one fucking takedown. Well, he's going for two against Garner, and they got fucking gouged. But the first one, have you never tried a takedown, John, and failed it? It's called MMA, brother. Everybody fails takedowns. Fuck me. Merab fails them. Merab's the best ever, at taking people down. And this is hilarious. I feel as if my clearest path to victory in both of those fights would to get them to the ground at some point. Exactly. That's all you can do. To strike with them, I know that I can. I'd have stood with every fighter in the world. I've held my space, if not won against every fighter in the world in kickboxing. So my goal would be to kickbox until I find my moment, get the fight on the ground, go for a submission or go for a TKO. I mean, I'm speechless because you look at the footage and the intel of him against Stipe Miocic, and you look at it, how it's going to be with Tom Aspinall. And yes, styles make fights, but Jones is a corpse himself. He's not fast at all. And he's never been an incredibly fast fighter. He had a lot more pace at light heavyweight, but we haven't really seen him at heavyweight. We saw him for like a minute against Cyril Gane and a few rounds against Stipe Miocic, but it was like two unks. And I'm an unk. But it was like two hunks fighting in there. Aspinall moves around like a fucking welterweight. I don't think Jones would touch him on the feet personally, but it's just interesting. Jones is looking again for a way out, trying to make excuses. Just admit it. You know, you don't want to fight him. He's the bigger, stronger, more powerful man. He's a natural heavyweight. And he's not. Not taking away anything from Jon's resume, his career. He's been an exceptional fighter. Massive respect to the guy. He seems a bit of a scumbag as a person, though. That's just my opinion. But yeah, he's looking for a way out. He knows he's got intel on Alex Pereira, and he has lack of intel with Tom Aspinall. Yeah, everybody's writing Aspinall off. Let's just see what happens in the rematch against Gon. Yeah. If you like this video, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.